Queensland missed a 4-on-2 down the short side. Another moment where it was a 1-on-1 down the short side. I think it was a mismatch. They didn't exploit those things. We had the extra man and we were jamming, and I felt like there was no need to. And that's where that try came from. That we've earned our right to be there. It's about us staying up there and being able to maintain that consistency, something that we've been poor over the last 20 years.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
What a treat this is. Clinton Toopi, 129 games for the Warriors, 22 tests for the Kiwis, and been working for the NRL and over in the Gold Coast there for a number of years now. Great to see you again, mate.
Yeah, likewise, brother. I think I've got a bit of tough like you now. I saw dreads a few months ago, so you've been doing the times.
Yeah, you've been doing great work as well, mentoring and helping the young players and giving them all advice and all of that. So I hear it's been going real well. Yeah,
look, I guess the role I've been in for almost 8 years now. It's been a bit of a pleasure, a bit of a stretch and a growth period for me over that time. You know, I think it was do as I say, not as I do from the old days, but definitely learnt a few things and been able to implement and put that into, I guess, our storytelling through our mental health and wellbeing programs. It's a treat. They use former players, so we get to have guys go out and speak and talk into this space that's somewhat, sometimes quite awkward and scary, so we try to normalise those conversations.
Yeah, who better to hear it from them? The been there, done that crowd. So yeah, keep doing the work, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Will do.
Let's talk Origin last night to start with, and then we'll have a little bit of word on the Wars, that New South Wales side. Look, I thought actually, all the build up to the game, it was a bit scratchy and patchy. There's a lot more errors in that game than I normally expect from an Origin, but when it came to their moments, New South Wales had more, made more. Would that be fair?
100%. I support that DNA. From a former has-been, the way I viewed it was they missed their opportunities. They looked, I'm a Queensland supporter, so yeah, it looked clunky, or, that phrase catchword is clunky is what it probably looks like, but they looked like they'd missed so many opportunities. I saw down on their try line, Queensland missed a 4-on-2 down the short side. There was another moment where it was a 1-on-1 down the short side. I think it was a mismatch, but they didn't exploit those things. And to me, it's sort of, I think they were just kind of in a bit of a rut. Even when they were looking for offloads, no one was pushing support, so the energy wasn't there. But you look at New South Wales, so they had everybody there. They looked a bit more, I guess, physical in that respect, and always found the front foot. They were getting out of their halves a lot easier than what Queensland were doing. So I was expecting the bigger names to step up, but it was almost like they waited for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's a period there, wasn't there, just after half-time where they scored that try, coach scored that try. They had, I think, a man, a tool was in the bin, and you felt the momentum swinging. But again, just clumsy mistakes, and they just didn't quite get it. It makes it real tough now, doesn't it? Because Perth, of course, and they don't come back to Brisbane. And I wonder also, Clinton, a lot of questions there, but I wonder how much of it New South Wales winning that third game last year up in Brisbane gave those same guys that confidence.
Oh, you've got to think that that's not a fortress anymore after beating them at home soil on a game that was quite a memorable one for those guys. So, yeah, they had the momentum going into it. They had, a lot of young guys experienced now. So they had the pick of the crop, New South Wales, and they looked really, really good last night, and they're going to be a threat over in WA. But, there might be some changes. There might be some needed changes in some key areas, but I think I'll leave that up to Billy Slater. He seems to be the mastermind and knowing what to do in those particular moments. But it's a big game and a big ask for them to go over to WA. But I'm sure they'll rise to the occasion. I'm sure a lot of players won't be happy with the way they performed last night and be itching to kind of pull one back in because, again, it'll be a hard ask going down if it's, they win that one. It'll still be a hard ask going to New South Wales on that third one.
Yeah, one of the things that is just so wildly impressive to me with NRL players is the ability of these guys to play a game like that and then back up again. We're going to see Mitch Barnett, who's been named to start for the Warriors against the Rabbits. It's just, I mean, you've played this game, as I said, those figures at the highest levels. You've played in England, you've played, well over 200 first grade games and test matches and things, and just the physicality involved with that, plus the emotional side of it, of the up, the down, and then coming back again. I mean, just walk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, like Mitch Barnett, the reasons why he went from, an earmark to off the bench to starting prop. I guess the caliber of player is he's tough, he's physical, he's leader, and it's going to be a big ask. And for me, if you would have asked me if I'd be able to do that back in the days, I would have done it out of pure emotion, but the body would have been telling me the total opposite. But I think the way they're looking after the players now, there's a lot more science involved, and I think he'll be taking it easy for the rest of this week. He wouldn't be needing, I guess, too much in terms of more the back end and getting back into it, because his role in the team is solidified, especially with the wires and how he carries himself. It's just about managing the bumps and the bruises and, like you said, getting back up again. But it is a big ask. But the way these players are doing it these days, and the intensity, the sixes games, that's changed the total dynamic of the way the game's played, and the ball in play is huge. It's a huge demand. But the way these guys keep doing it is, you got to applaud them for it.
Tricky one for the Warriors this weekend, isn't it? I thought Canberra were just a little bit better in the wet at Mount Smart. This Rabbit side, Latrell will come back into that side as well. They're coming off a bye. They're a bit rested. It's just a fixture that it's not a banana skin fixture. I think the Warriors can win this game, but it's going to be a hell of a tough game.
Oh, 100%. And, one of the young fellas who had to defend out there in the edges, coming back into a big game like that, that's probably, although we've won those games, they were tough wins over those last 5 weeks.
Yeah, they were.
Canberra was probably the harder fixture out of all of those games, even though those were physical and those were down to the wire. They're actually a physical team, and they play in conditions similar to us, so it would have been no different for them, and that's why they were able to, I guess, play so well. But I thought it was a bit of a tough ask for the young fella to make those decisions out there on the edges, coming back in such a big game. Like, it's only inches in terms of making decisions, especially out on the edges there. Young Ellie, I think that, he'll be looking to, I guess, fix up those kind of calls, because you only got a split second to make some of those calls. And if you, jam when you're not, well, we had the extra man and we were jamming. And I felt like there was no need to. And that's where that try came from. They offloaded, stepped back in, scored, and that kind of changed the momentum, especially when they were 13 of players. Yeah, but like Rabbitohs, they're unpredictable. They've got the great Wade Bennett, so I think that's it's a tricky one. You like Latrell, everyone was expecting him to have a brainstorming game the way he's been playing lately, and then he was pretty quiet. The young fella from the Roosters did a good job to hold him out. So I think if we can do the same with Latrell, don't let him get into any kind of rhythm, I think we'll be in for, I guess, a convincing one. That's something that's kind of eluding us at the minute, but any win, dirty win, is a good one.
Mate, they're all good wins, aren't they? And this is the thing, and when you're winning games by 2 points, 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, 4 points, eventually you're going to lose one of those games. That's kind of how I felt. But just overall, finally, for how the season is going at the moment, I put my hands up, got it completely. I did not think the Warriors would be in this position at the moment, having won 8 games and lost 3 and being third in the table. So congratulations to them. And, you get a base like that, and that means now with the remaining fixtures that are there, 13 fixtures, that, you only have to win half of those games and you're right up there on the points table. So they've done a really good, hard lot of work to start with.
Yeah, look, it's going to carry them in good stead if you can start the year well. And, some teams plateau out, but if they can start kicking on from here and making some convincing wins, it'll help them, with those games that are kind of probably a bit, well, who's going to win? But I think, a lot of the teams that they're going to come up against, that's going to test them of where they really sit, because The last 5 teams where we got those 5 in a row, wouldn't say they were top contenders, but I feel like we've earned our right to stay where we are and be where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes back to the faith that they had in the Hearts. I think by the second game they were calling for the young fellas to be swapped out, and they're not up to it. And then, Webby was, had faith in those boys and let them grow in confidence, and everyone started to buy into, what their defensive systems are, what the boys can produce. Everyone was pulling their weight. There wasn't like somebody having to do something miraculous to win the game. They were collectively working as a unit, and that's something, most of those top 4 teams are doing successfully. And like I said, we're no different. We've earned our right to be there. It's about us staying up there and being able to maintain that consistency, something that we've been, poor over the last 20 years. And even in my time, we weren't consistent in the way we were played throughout the season. I think we've always got a really good mix here and really good feel and culture.
DSPN.